Yo, yes, yes. It's your boy T2. Conversation of the Heart. Season 2, Episode 18. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great conversation. She'll be on in 1 second. We're going to be getting into a conversation just geared towards men and women. The show is entitled Gender Wars. I know it's a little bit dramatic, but we're going to get into this good conversation. It's going to be amazing. Appreciate y'all for tuning in every week, that I have a show. Just like I said, these shows are geared to just to uplift, to inspire, and have real world conversations, man, to help us out, man, in these troubling times that we're in. You know what I'm saying? But this show is going to be geared towards breaking down stuff between men and women, miscommunications between men and women, a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to really just diving into this particular conversation with Trice Rain. Melina, what up? DJ Teddy Graham's in the building. What up, boy? Gotta go. Nah, chill, boy. Nah, that's you, man. Listen, my man DJ Teddy Grams is in the building. If y'all need a DJ, that's your guy right there. Tell him I sent you, for sure. Melina, man, it's been a long time, man. Jeez. Nah, Melina, nah, absolutely not. Yo, we gotta chop it up sometime though. Yeah, definitely. We gotta just chop it up. It's been a long time. Jim Lee, what's going on with you? So we're just waiting on Trice Rain to come through. You know what I'm saying? We had some technical difficulties earlier, so we got a little bit of a late start, unfortunately. I think that this might be my first time having a late show. But we are here, you know what I'm saying? Just waiting on Trice Rain to come on in the room, tap in, so we can have this conversation. You know what I'm saying? I hope you had a really great weekend. Great weekend and a great week. It's been crazy. I hope y'all voted. If you live in the boroughs, I hope y'all voted for sure. Oh man. But we're gonna get into this talk about especially how mental health plays a role in relationships, the breakdown of communication and comprehension between men and women and things like that. So, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a loaded conversation, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting her on. We were having some technical difficulties earlier, so I know that she said that she's gonna just hop on soon, well, momentarily. So definitely appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Definitely. Let me see. Where the hell is she at? All right, guys, just give me 1 sec. Yeah. All right. Trice Rain's in the building. Appreciate y'all for being patient with me. Appreciate you. She about to come on right now. Let me see. Oh,
Hello.
What's going on with you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I cannot complain. Appreciate you for joining. Appreciate
Yeah,
you for
thank you
joining
for
the show.
having me. Thank you. Peace and light,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so for everybody who doesn't know you, please introduce yourself. let them know what you do. I told them, you're a certified holistic coach, relationship coach, accountability coach. I mean, you're overall incredible person, but you might can do a better job of introducing you to me.
I am a human being that is enjoying every day in this vessel. I just want to help people, and I just want to help heal people, or help people to heal themselves. And I am just working, trying to like fulfill my duty while I'm here. That's
All
what
right,
I
man.
am. Now, all those
Okay.
titles and everything, I guess that's what, the world looks at me as, but
Yeah.
I am just a vessel.
Okay. And just tell everybody where they can reach you. Follow
Oh,
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook. Okay, so been a while. I'm also in the I am in the process of rebranding. So my
Mm-hmm.
business is Rain to Rain Coaching, where I am a
Mm-hmm.
holistic, as he said, I'm certified holistic life coach. I specialize more in dealing with accountability,
Mm-hmm.
as well as couples,
Right.
um, dating, relationships, things of that nature, giving
Mm-hmm.
advice, you know, um, helping people who are stuck, just different things. It all depends on what it is that a client needs. But I can be found on Facebook. Right now, my business page is under construction because, again, I am rebranding. But I am Trice Rain on Facebook. I am Rain Trice on Instagram, and um, my Instagram it's under construction as well, but it's still up. And that is Rain to Rain Coaching, where in the near future, I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of great changes and things that I believe everyone is going to really enjoy. So you can find me
I
there.
already know. I already know it's going to be amazing. I already know. Um, so I titled this show Gender Wars. Um,
I
you
love
know what
it.
I'm saying? But you know, it's never really that between me and you. Like we always on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So,
Always is.
um, yeah. So to me, the point of this whole show is just to kind of break down sometimes the dynamics, especially with the communication, the comprehension, how mental health plays a big role, in relationships too, right? And just kind of just bridging the gap between men and women, between me and you, right?
Right.
Kind of just bridging the gap of why sometimes, things seem so heated. You know what I'm saying? Tensions are at an all-time high, right? You see it on social media, and you see it in the comments, you see it all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Hurt people.
you know, right, but then honestly, like, I'm sure that you could attest to this. Like whenever I do separate Zooms or different, and I talk to men and I talk to women, it's the one thing I find, we all going through the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We all have horror stories about each other. You know what I'm saying? And normally it's like, oh, this person and they men this and women, but a
Excuse
lot
me.
of us speak the same language and we want the same things, but there's this miscommunication, there's comprehension issues. There's a lot of just different things that I feel like, but we're going through the same exact stuff, right? And there's no one to me, and this is my personal opinion. There's
Mhm.
no one gender that goes through more than the other. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I feel like we have this thing where we have to compete of who's worse, right? Like the men are just the skull of the earth, well, and then the women are, and then so when you have posts, like when you do some of your posts, right,
Mhm.
and you put something about men, as far as talking to the men, uplifting
Mhm.
men, there's always somebody that goes, yeah, and vice versa.
Yep.
And women too, women too, right? And it's just like, y'all don't like all lives matter, but y'all all lives matter in the hell out of these comments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
like when it's not about you, it's not about you. It's about this particular subject, right?
Right.
Just this particular subject. It doesn't take away your plights. It doesn't take away the things that you have going on. We know those, but for this post, it's just for us. You know what I'm saying? And I think we get into a lot of that too, on social media too. You know what I'm saying? And so let's start with communication or lack of. I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication between men and women, right? I know you see it. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what are you seeing?
Well, they came out with a book of what a while ago, a couple decades ago. Well, what was it? Men are from
From
Venus, or Men are
Venus,
from
yeah.
Mars, women are from Venus.
Mars, one from Venus,
Okay,
yeah.
so that was basically that was a number one seller,
Of course.
and it also was trying to explain the differences between men and women and how we think. You know what I mean? I do believe there is a difference in how we process
Mhm.
emotion, thought
Of course.
between men and women. But as you said again, I think that we don't recognize the similarities. We're so caught up in our own um, plight, so to
Hmm.
speak, that we
Yeah.
don't recognize that the man that we're dealing with as women is often thinking the same thoughts, is
Hmm.
often experiencing the same fears, insecurities, and all of the things that we're going through but because of society and how things are, I know me as a woman, it took me years to even think about trying to understand a man
Mm.
and a man's emotions. I think the
Mm.
miscommunication comes in because we really don't either want to know or we don't take the time to understand one another, to kind of
Hmm.
look past our own PTSD, our own traumas, our
Hmm.
own issues, to say, okay, well, what drives this man? Okay, if he's
Right.
changing up, if his behavior is different, what could be the underlying? We don't go there. We automatically go with allowing our fears to lead,
Mm.
allowing, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Getting advice from other broken people or other hurt people, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
We,
Right.
I'd love for during my lifetime to be able to see a lot more healthy relationships between men and women. That will really make
Mm.
my day. That would make life, worth living for me, to be able
Right.
to
Right.
see that. But indeed, there is a lot of miscommunication between us because we cannot see past our own selves to even get to the level of having compassion for one another. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Empathy and compassion is key, but when you're hurt, a lot of times, from past, it could be from past situation, or it could really just be from your own childhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just different things that you haven't processed yet, things that you haven't taken the time to unpack,
Mhm.
and address with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And those things show up in relationships all the time. It could be stuff with your parents, it could be stuff with just you, like your whole situation. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
now when you get into a relationship, it's just now you don't know, like it's like packing things on top of things on top of things, right? And that stuff gets what? It gets heavy to carry, right? You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so I think that for us, we've got to do a better job of trying to understand, right? You know what I mean? Just the other person's plight, right? And like I think my brother put in the comments, male and female have to put themselves in the other's position, which is hard to do because we don't understand each other's psychological process. Um, and and that's true, and that's 100% fact. But I think it also goes, deeper too, where it stops from to me like when you're kids, like how you're raised, like
Yeah.
how you were taught to communicate, right? And that's a real thing on both sides. I know
Mhm.
that they say, men don't know how to communicate, men don't know how to talk, men don't know, right, right. Oh, we heard all of it, right? But there's a lot of women that don't know how to communicate.
A
There's a
lot.
lot of women that don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to express themselves, passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Stuff like that. And so it starts from when you were like growing up. Like, how were you taught, right? So now, like when you get somebody, let's just say, like myself, who's a hyper communicator, right? And if you're with somebody who is not a communicator, it's it's deeply it could be deeply troubling, right? It could be really a bad situation,
Mhm.
especially because one person is not used to all that communication, and then the other one craves it.
Mhm.
And normally when there's no meat in the middle, it creates a big problem and it creates a fight, right? Hence the miscommunications, you know, the disagreements, and it's not just enough to understand, right? Like we've got to be able to communicate, but there's got to be comprehension within the communication.
That's the key. Ding, ding, ding. You got to be able to comprehend what someone says to you. Like, it's one thing to sit and be a good listener, but did you understand what they were trying to say? I mean,
That's the
if
whole
they,
thing.
you know what I mean? Because trust me, a part of miscommunication also is lack of listening. Lack of listening. Men not listening to women. Women not listening to men. Women and men listening to respond instead of listening to understand each other. You know what I mean? If you're talking to me and everything that you're saying, I'm thinking to myself, And so instead of really listening to you, I'm thinking to myself the rebuttals that I have for your argument, or how wrong you are because, or, you know, and I spent a lot of my adult life acting like that. You know what I mean? A man, in a relationship, a man could be telling me how he feels, genuinely telling me how he feels, and I'm sitting there thinking of ways to disclaim, like that, to basically show him that he's wrong. You're wrong.
Right.
He's wrong in how he's feeling, or he's wrong in what he's saying, instead of really thinking, okay, what is it? Okay, if I don't understand, asking more probing questions. If what he's saying isn't clear to me, I should be trying to make it clear. I shouldn't be afraid to ask him to clarify. I shouldn't be afraid, you know what I mean, to ask him, can you repeat that, or could you expound on that, like expand on that, like what did you mean when you said that? Because or this, or even repeating back what it is that I heard. You know, what I'm hearing is this, and then he could say, no, that's not what I'm trying to say, or yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Communication is a huge factor in miscommunication, is the lack of people who have that art of communication. And that isn't taught in school. It isn't, and a lot of times our parents don't even have it. We learn, we're a product of our environments. Our parents were not good communicators with us 9 times out of 10. And as a response, we suck at communicating with our mates. And then don't par that with, if you have emotional issues, such as, you know, emotional unavailability or emotional immaturity or unintelligence. Now you're adding with that the fact that you're not only going to not listen, but you're going to add emotions to the mix and create fires. You know what I mean?
That emotional intelligence, yo, let me tell you something. That emotional intelligence is something sexy about it. I'm gonna tell you something sexy about, you know what I mean? Somebody who got that emotional intelligence,
it's so sexy.
Yo, not emotional intelligence is sexy because when they don't got it,
it can change the way you're looking at them. You could think they the world of them, and then all of a sudden they're not so cute anymore. They're not so fine. They're not so attractive. You be like, oh, you're a kid. You're a kid. You're a child. You're a child.
That emotional intelligence, man, it hits different, especially like when you're older, especially when you're aware.
Yes.
Like when you are a communicator and when you have a high emotional intelligence, right? Like, and when you operate in that space, it's so it's very aggravating, and it's very stressful to deal with somebody who's not on that wave. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times, you know, you'll try to bring them up to, like, you know, all right, you know, come up, you know what I mean? Let me teach you. But a lot of times, like, that's not something that can be taught.
It's not something that can be taught by the person. It's not something
that you're with.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. It is easier for someone else to teach them than it is the person that they're in love with or that they're in a relationship with. So that's not the time for them to learn. The time for them to learn is prior to getting with you. And this is why, you know, knowing how to court, knowing how to date, knowing how to understand who's a good fit and who's not is really important. But I don't want to take you too far off of course of what you're talking about, though. So.
No, I mean, but that's all a part of it, you know. But I think sometimes as human beings, people say, oh, well, you can't help who you fall in love with, certain things like that, whatever the case.
Yes, you
People say
can.
that. People say that. No, that's a
But
real
yes,
thing.
you
People say that.
can.
Of
You
course you can.
Okay,
Of
if you
course you
can't
can.
help who you fall in love with, then the most grotesque person that you met, you should be with them right now because you couldn't help it.
Right, exactly. And
Mm,
and I think that's the thing is like we tend to be like, I don't judge and everybody has their thing, nobody's perfect. You're like, no, and these are all the things that you tell yourself, right? Um, because the reality is you want what you want. You want what you want. So you want this person, right? And that's a fact. You want what you want. So you tell yourself, you know what, I want this. This is who I want, and I have my stuff. They have their stuff, so it's okay, right? But it's like no, like it's really not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it's absolutely not. It's not okay. Um, because you have to know what stuff really you can deal with, or what you can live with, and what you cannot live with.
right.
And that's a big problem. You know what I'm saying? Because then there's the other side of people just want to be loved. People just want to be in something. People just want to feel that thing. They want to feel that. So it's like, you know what? Oh, you know what? If they don't know how to communicate, I could teach them. If they don't have that high of an emotional intelligence, you know what? It's okay. I can probably work with this. If they meet me, like that's the things that you start to tell yourself to make sure that you get yourself in the situation that you want.
Right.
You,
And then you
you
end
know,
up divorced, or then you end up
facts,
separated, or then you end up broken
facts,
up because you realize that you dated potential.
facts.
You dated someone's potential. And the problem with that is they are not there is no guarantee in anything. And there's definitely
Uh,
no guarantee that that person's potential will ever cultivate into what it is that you want or you're looking for. So that's where we mess up. We date the potential. Oh, I could do this and I could, but the only person we have control over in this planet is ourselves. That's it. That's
period.
it. And when we wrap our minds around that, we start to date better because then it's like, okay, one of the number one rules that I teach people about dating is when you're meeting someone, and okay, you're past the representative stage. They don't have the mask on. This is
Mhm.
who that person is. If you can't see yourself with that person for the rest of your life, then that may not be the person for you, because that may very well be how that person is. Not everyone wants to grow. Not everyone
That's
wants to
facts.
change. Not everyone is about, personal development and ascension and all. Not everyone is into that. Not some people are totally fine with all of their faults and flaws. They're fine. They feel like they don't need to change. And you need to understand that you cannot commit to the idea of somebody
Yeah.
and
I remember
expect to be
somebody
with
told me that. I remember somebody told me that one time and it blew my mind. Like they were
them.
like, personal development is just so hard for me. I don't know. And I was like, huh? Like it was so it was so weird to hear because but that's also my lane, right? That's almost like trying to tell a basketball player, like, yo, I don't really care about basketball. He's like, what? Like, can you imagine going up to Michael Jordan and be like, yo, I don't really care about basketball? He's gonna be like, so what? You know what I mean? Like, it don't even make sense, right? So, I think we've got to get to a point where we're aligned with the things that we want, right? Like we're aligned with our non-negotiables. And for most people, you know what it is? All right, no cheating, no cheating, no cheating.
As if that's the only way you can
Yeah,
lose someone. As if
yeah,
that's the only thing a person could ever do that makes you not want them anymore. What?
right. Nah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
what
crazy.
about abuse? Okay, so
That's a
what
fact.
about neglect?
It's a big word. It's a big one.
You know what I
You know what
mean?
I'm
What
saying?
what
No,
do
it's a
you
fact.
do when you're being emotionally or physically neglected?
Yeah.
Now
You
you
know,
cheat or you
now
leave.
you end
Those
up
are
doing
your
something crazy.
choices.
Yeah. And I think, we've got to look because it's very superficial kind of like the things that we look at, right? So it's like just the basic stuff. He's got to be honest, no cheating, and and
Some
all
women
right,
be like,
cool.
you got to be over 6 feet. You got to have
Yeah,
this much
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Da, da, da,
And
da.
meanwhile,
You're like,
she all of 5'1". You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Oh man.
oh, you don't understand how frustrating that makes me because I'm a tall woman. And it's like, if all the short women got all the tall men, what's left for my tall but all the short men,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like we've got to figure out, and also do the work on yourself. See, I think, like you said, doing the work on yourself early. You know what I'm saying? Like before you get into a relationship and things like that, right? Like doing the work on you, going to therapy. Because here's the thing, especially with mental health, most people of color are already born in the red. I mean, born into the red, right? They're born into certain circumstances that their mental health is already in the red, that they
Mm-hmm.
have to climb out of. And that's from when they were
Mm-hmm.
kids. You know what I'm saying? Kids, and now they're grown up, and now it's just nonstop toxicity and dysfunction, right? And so that's why it's so important for you to do the work on yourself before you get into these relationships. And and,
Yeah.
and, and I mean like serious relationships, right? Um, because mental health affects relationships, in various different ways. You know what I'm saying? Dangerous ways. But we do have Jim Lee said, can you expound on emotional and physical neglect a little bit more?
You want me
So,
to take
go
that or
ahead.
you take that?
Yeah, I'll go. But
Okay.
I mean,
Emotional neglect. Okay. Things that you need for your emotional to feel supported emotionally or connected emotionally. So
Mhm.
in order to have that, I realize something. Not everyone wants every kind of connection in a relationship. Some people do perfectly fine with no spiritual connection or no emotional or little emotional. I ain't gonna say no. I'm gonna say little emotional connection. Some people do.
Mhm.
You'll be
They do.
surprised how some people operate in their relationships.
Oh,
But for a
I
person
know.
like me, emotional connection is important.
Key.
Me feeling that my partner is connected to me emotionally, where we can
Mm,
share. I'm able to be vulnerable with him.
mm,
He's able to be vulnerable with me. So let's say you're in a relationship, you're vulnerable, you're open, you know what I mean? You're not damaged in that way, but you're dealing with a partner who is, and they are emotionally closed off or emotionally, some people are emotionally dead. I
yeah.
hate to say it, but it is what it is. You know,
Fact.
let's say you're dealing with someone who is emotionally just cut off. That's
Mm,
emotional neglect that you're going to be feeling and experiencing because they can't connect with you on that level, which is
fact.
going to leave you feeling like there is a disconnect and a void in the relationship. So,
Mm.
and you said emotional what? And what else did she say?
And physical neglect. I mean, that's
Physical neglect can be that
physical.
just not spending any time with you.
Hmm.
If your love language is physical touch and your
Physical
partner isn't
touch.
touching you, that's
That's
neglectful to you.
neglect.
You know
Right.
what
And
I
it makes
mean?
you right. And it makes you feel like you're not wanted. It makes you feel like you're not heard. It makes you feel like you're not seen. It makes you feel like all of
You're
those
not loved.
emotions.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And it makes you feel neglected. Right.
Yeah.
And it makes you just feel like, man, like we don't really rock like that. We don't really connect like that. He or she doesn't want to touch me. He or she doesn't want to talk to me. He
Right.
or she, you know what I'm saying? It's more like, they're more like now, if you're living together, it could be like, hey, we're more like roommates now. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's
Right.
just because there's that neglect. And then that neglect, it breeds a lot of contempt. It breeds a lot of just like, man, animosity,
Animosity. Hmm.
animosity. You know what I'm saying? That's the word right there. It breeds a lot of
Hmm.
animosity.
And resentment.
Um, that's the one. Resentment. Um, and when you have all these factors in play, now if the person also has a communication problem, they're not going to want to talk about those issues, right? So even if you bring it to them and say, "Hey, I'm feeling like this," and if they're emotionally disconnected, 9 times out of 10, their communication skills suck, for a lack of a better term,
Yep.
right? So
And they
so
don't like
now,
conflict. Hmm.
and they don't like conflict, right? Um, so now it's like now you're going to them like, hey, this is the problem, this is the problem. And now because you feel neglected, and then now when you're going to them with the problem, now your words are being unheard because they don't want to, because now they don't want to discuss it. So now that breeds more resentment. And now you feel like this person may not want to be with you, right? Oh, well, then he or she doesn't want to be with me. So then, you know what? Fine. You know what? Then I might as well just go ahead and do me, right? Like, and that's how it starts.
It can lead to cheating.
And that's
not saying it's an excuse, because
no,
leaving
that's not what we're
is
saying.
always the first option. Let's just put that on the table.
That's a
Leaving
fact.
is always the first
That's a
option.
fact. That's a fact. But
Cheating is a choice.
what does happen is you start to now open yourself up, because now what happens is you start to, like, when somebody is really exerting a lot of energy to communicate, they feel unloved. They're like, all right, hey, I'm reaching out, and all of my advances are getting neglected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like all this starts to fester inside, fester. And normally, or in a lot of situations, you tend to find somebody to talk to.
True.
Right? Because you don't have it at home.
True.
Or even if you don't look for it, I promise
it often finds you.
It pops up. It is a fact.
It often finds you. Yep.
And then that's how
you're
those
giving out that
situations
energy.
can start. Yeah,
you're
and then
giving out that energy. You're giving out the energy of lack, and the universe sees it. You know what I mean? The universe feels it. The energy is there, so you're gonna automatically attract the same frequency that you're on. So yeah, it can, and that's where emotional cheating comes from. But I don't want to get into that. So
yeah, I mean, emotional cheating is, people say, it happens to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? But it's like there's always been, and I'm not gonna stay on it, but it's more so like, is it really cheating? Is it not? Like, is it really cheating? Is it not? There's been so many debates about that I've heard.
It has.
You know what I'm saying? Because most people feel like infidelity is physical. Kissing or hand holding or everything else. That comes with that. But I mean, everybody has their opinion about it. Everybody has their opinion about all that stuff. You know what I mean? But that could be another topic for another day.
Yes, let's save that for another time.
Because that's a whole hour. That's a whole hour show. Like, that's a whole another show that we could do on that. And go in too. But when it comes to now, just mental health in a relationship, you have two people coming in, right? And normally, or often, I'll say, you have one person that is into doing the work, and you have one person that is not into doing the work, right? I'm a big proponent of therapy. It's no secret. I always like to tell people, please go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you start to see the signs, or even if there's nothing actively wrong, there's nothing wrong with a checkup once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Because there could be some dormant things that's lying back here somewhere, right? That you're like, oh man. Because here's the thing: a lot of times, all that stuff is dormant until you get into a relationship or have kids, and something with the kids triggers something that was dormant in your head for so long.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoa, that's because people don't understand triggers. And so all of a sudden, for years, you never, there's no kids involved in this and that. And all of a sudden you have a kid and something awakens from your childhood. And you like, ooh, like, oh, that was like in 95, but you never addressed it. You know what I'm saying? For all these years, right? So in each level of your life, whether it could be relationships and children, you think like, oh, it's because there's new problems now. There's new issues now, right? But if you haven't addressed the stuff from before, it's gonna rear its ugly head at some point.
It doesn't go
because the person that you with could trigger you.
Yep.
The person that you with can do something and it reminds you of something from your mother or father that happened, right? You know, or something from the past. Or, well, why are you talking to me like that? And it's like, wait, what? My father used to talk to me like that. And he's just like, whoa, time out. Like, wait a minute. You know,
I
like,
don't have nothing to do with your daddy, you know, and then it becomes another issue because you're projecting. You're projecting your issues
yep.
on someone else. Yep. So, yep.
hmm And
Hmm.
those are things to where it's just if we start doing the work little by little, you know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, and I'll say like for us men too, you know, it's mental health month, and there are things, you know what I mean, for us that we really need to really. I sent you the post, you
Yes.
already saw it, right? You know, there are things that we need to do, you know what I'm saying, as men to be heard. Like
Mm.
we've got to do the work for ourselves and go to therapy and do all those things. That's 100% fact. But we have got to start creating safe spaces for men
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
like for them to really grasp that it's safe to communicate. Because the
Correct.
one because the one thing that I feel that women think, and I mean you, because you've already been enlightened with a lot of different things, right? But when it comes to women, they feel like sometimes just because they got a pretty face and a nice body, that man is gonna open up to them everything. And it's like, well, why doesn't he just know how to communicate? Why doesn't he this? He doesn't know. And it's just like, have you gotten to the root of the issue, or do you think because you're this beautiful woman that now he's just going to automatically know how to communicate in the ways that you need him to know how to communicate? Because honestly, he may not even communicate with his own mama, his own daddy. He may not have learned that. That may not have been a skill
Right.
because he never may have been given the permission
Hmm.
to communicate his emotions. And just because
Right.
you got a pretty face, that ain't gonna change. And I think that we've got to stop with those expectations. I think
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest problems is the expectations of, oh, a man is just supposed to communicate with me because he's in a relationship with me. And it's just like, that's not the truth.
Hmm.
A man may not even know how to express love
He
because he's
might
never
not know
seen
how
it.
to express his emotions. And not only
Period.
that, I feel like a lot of women, as women, we don't understand men. So we don't know how to come at them. It could be a man that does communicate decently, but because you don't have control over your own emotional self, when you come to him, you come at him emotionally. You start off with a confrontation. And
Mm,
I don't care if he is a world award Pulitzer Prize winning public speaker. It doesn't
hmm
matter. Okay. If you come at a man in the wrong way, you're not gonna get the result that you're looking for. You gotta know how to talk to men too. You know what I mean? And sometimes us women don't come we don't have that discipline over our emotions enough to put those to the side and use more logic when we're talking to a logical being, because
but
most men are logical. They're not
but
emotional.
but you know what you hear a lot though that will combat that. It's like, oh, these chemical imbalances, my hormones. You know, I don't know how to control this. I don't know how to control that. It's the
If you don't
hormones.
have
It's this. It's
self-control,
that.
then you really need to see a psych. If you don't have any control over your mouth or your thoughts, then you need to be talking to a psychiatrist, and maybe you need medication.
And and
And I'm just
also,
I'm just keeping that 100. If you
mhm.
want to take it that far, then don't neglect your mental health. Go see what's wrong
Right,
with you to where you
right.
can't. Because there's no way in heck I'm going to tell somebody I don't have any control over anything. I'm a woman.
Mm,
I
mm,
know when it's a certain time of a month, I'm more emotional than I am any other time of the month. And
mm,
I am a logical woman. And it's so crazy because I'm more logical as a woman than a lot of men.
mm.
Seriously.
I know. We
But
talk.
okay, so you understand. But
Mm,
even in me being a logical woman, even in me teaching myself emotional intelligence, I know that, okay, before my period, or sometimes during my period, and maybe for a couple of days after, my emotions are not balanced. I'm higher. I'm more likely to have an attitude. I'm more likely to be more anxious. I notice about myself. See, this is where
Mm.
knowledge of self comes in.
Mm.
Mindfulness. If you understand self, then you have a better, you can't turn to excuses all the time. You have to understand yourself in order to control yourself. But if you're one of these type of people that's always a victim and everything is everyone else's fault, then you're never going to be accountable for your own actions. And oh, ladies, I love you to death. Oh, boo, this is a whole nother show. Accountability in
Yo,
women, all time low. All time
and
low.
that's the fact. And but then you know what they are. But then you know what's something else. Here's what another one. But Tree's like, if I have to baby a man, if I can't say what I want to say, if I gotta baby him, then like it turns into now I gotta baby him, and it's like, nah, like why can't you actually just learn how to speak, like learn, like how to talk like
Learn
a
your
normal human
man.
being?
Learn your man. Why is it
Fact.
that those same women that say that can can
Hmm.
can can get on the phone with me and I can talk to them and get them to understand where they might have gone wrong. Give them examples of what to say. They say it to
Hmm.
their mate and get a better response. I'm no better than you.
Delivery,
And I'm no better than you. You need to
delivery.
learn your partner. Men should be learning their women. Women should be learning their man.
Facts only.
Everyone has just like you got a learning style, how you learn things. Some people are hands-on. Some people are audio learners. They listen. They learn better in listening.
Mm.
There's different types of learning styles, and you can Google that and look that up. That there's different types of styles that we all have in learning. Okay. If you know that there's different types of styles in learning, there's also different types of communication styles. There's
Mm.
different, just like there's different types of apologies that work for different people. Like me saying sorry might not work for you, but me buying you something might work for you. You have to learn. Same way you got to learn their love language, you got to learn their communication style. Because
Hmm.
some people, when they're upset, like some men, when they're upset, they don't want to talk. They
Hmm.
don't want
Hmm.
to when they get upset. Talking to them is they're unable. They don't want to talk until they have had time in solitude with themselves to likely filter through their emotions or whatever. Maybe they don't want to say the wrong things. Maybe they don't want to get angry. They have their own reasons for why they are that way. But some men, when it's a heated argument or a heated situation, they are not someone that you want to talk to right away. You want to give them space first and allow them to either come to you or wait until you see that man is at a resting space where it's safe for you to come and address it. Not
Hmm.
confrontationally, but conversationally, like in a
Hmm.
conversation. And in order to know that about your guy, you have to study him.
Hmm.
You gotta take the time out to study him. You
You
know what I
gotta have
mean?
a conversation of the heart. You know what I mean?
Study him.
I had to say
Pay
that. I had to say that. I
attention
had to
to
say
his patterns. We all got patterns, right?
that.
Pay
Yeah,
attention
yeah,
to the patterns.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I saw a video. I think it was last week about delivery. Especially when speaking to, like a man, right? And
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that the guy and his wife were talking about, and he was just like, you want me to be a protector, you want me to protect you, and he said, how can I protect you if I always have to protect myself from you?
Woo!
And I was like,
Yikes.
now I was like, see now we talking. Like, see now we having those certain real conversations. You know what I'm saying? Because in my
Mhm.
mind, I'm always thinking of, all right, I know she going wild on me. I know she about to say something crazy. So like, I'm always trying to figure out on how to be on the to be on the offense with you, right? Like to always say, all right, so I'm always going to be in this fight. You know what I'm saying? Versus, I know she's going to come to me with love, and I'm going to respond with love,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's the craziest thing, right? It's like you want somebody to protect you, to be the provider, the protector, like over you. But it's like, well, how can that really happen when I gotta always protect myself from you? That doesn't make me want to protect you, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't make me want to protect you. like that's a bad relationship, right? When
Right.
that's a bad relationship when it's like, why do I always have to protect? Why am I protecting the person that's always I need the protection from?
That's true.
Like, like it's like it's almost hand in hand. Like let's call a spade a spade. Look at the policing, right? Like they're supposed to protect us, right? Now, how I look
Right.
like with everything that's been going on, like how am I supposed to protect the good ones or the case if look at what's going on within your own stuff, like how can I protect like how is this happening? Like right? Like how is this
Mhm.
happening? Like y'all supposed to protect us. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like so it's just like, yo, man, like we've got to do a better job, you know what I'm saying, of dialogue. Dialogue and delivery. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's on both ends. Like men have to learn about their delivery as well. And be open and honest. You know what I'm
And
saying?
give
Like with
space.
themselves.
And I also think men need to allow women to be their emotional self. Men are so quick to say, women are emotional. Women are emotional. Women are emotional.
Hmm.
Well, and then you know that they're emotional, but then when they become emotional, you shut down. You don't
Hmm.
give them a safe space for them to feel like they can be their emotional selves. If you know that that's the nature of a woman to be more emotional than you, she should have a safe space also to be her emotional self. Not saying,
Hmm.
not saying slash your tires, you know, kick your door in, cut up your clothes, what I mean? Not saying
Oh,
act
you gotta
out
go.
emotionally
Oh, you gotta go.
I'm not saying you should have a emotional self.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Without you feeling like here she going her emotions.
Hmm.
No. If she's your woman, or do you want to date a man?
You know what it is? You know what it is though? When it comes to emotion and men, right? Sometimes men don't know how to handle a woman's emotion, right? But also one of the biggest things is even I had to learn was we like men like things like solutions. Like we're very solution based, right? Like
True.
I
True.
like I need to have solutions. So for me, if you come to me with something, right, that means you want me to
We
find a
need
solution,
you.
to fix it, to handle it,
No.
right? Like you want us to handle it, right? So you know what?
No.
I'm the man. I got this, babe. I got you. I got you 2,000%. We're gonna figure this out for you. I got you.
And
Right?
then
But what
I
I had to
say,
learn,
I just want you to listen. I just
no,
want
see,
you to listen.
no. Because you know what that translates to a lot of men? That like when we hear that, it's like, oh, so she just wants to complain about the same thing over and over and don't want the solution. Like, so how long am I gonna hear about this? Because if you
And
come in here
that's what
tomorrow with the same story, we're gonna have some problems
see, right.
because I don't know why. No, because this is what happens because I don't know why you want to keep telling yourself the same story over and over again without the solution, without me.
Right, right.
What's up?
But that's where compromise comes in. That's where we gotta sit down, and that's where you need to sit us down and be like, baby, you done
Mm,
complained about this coworker 3 times. You done came home and complained that this coworker keep doing this to you, baby. I don't want to keep hearing about it, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's when you
mm-hmm,
do that. And that's not when
mm-hmm.
you say,
Of
"I don't
course.
want to hear about this no more." Then I shut up. I don't know. You know what I mean? The same
Right.
respect that we are expected to give you
Mm,
when it's
of
time for
course.
you to be heard, right?
Mm,
Or it's time
mm,
for you to be corrected, which should be done
mm.
in private and not public, by the way.
That part. Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
same way, the same courtesy that you guys want extended is the same courtesy that y'all got to extend to us. And see, I've been like everything, there is not too many dysfunctional communication issues that I haven't had in past relationships that I
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
sat back and had to analyze my part and my
Right.
role in them in
Mm,
order for me to improve my communication, in order for me to
right.
improve my connection with the
Mm,
opposite sex.
mm-hmm. And like for me, I had to realize because I was always the fixer. right? I'm always a fixer, and I'm always very solution based, right? So for me, like, I couldn't stand anything like that wasn't trying to get fixed, right? So if you brought it to me, I got you. T got you. I hold it down. We got you. But then, you know, what I've learned is sometimes sometimes you guys just want to vent. Sometimes you just want to get it off your chest. Sometimes you might actually already have the solution already, right? And also, I spoke about this on another show. It's like, now you might already have the solution, and now here I come trying to take that power away from you.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that. And I was like, well, she's smart enough. Like, she is, like why don't I think you're smart enough to take care of it, right? You know, but that's not what I think. I'm just like putting on the cape, loose up the tie, like,
you're just being,
you know what I mean?
are.
Right. But how it could be interpreted, right, is like, yo, like, all I wanted to do was vent. I know what I need to do, but all I wanted to do was come home and vent, and here he goes, taking it over. You know what I'm saying? And he has no consideration for my feelings. And now we're fighting. And now we're fighting. Right? And, you know what I mean? And it's just like,
that's the wrong way to look at it, though. That's the wrong.
How do we get here?
That's how she feels. But this is so why open communication is so important again with two people. That's why that's why I don't care what anybody say. Friendship is the best foundation for a relationship. If your man and your woman, if your woman is your dog, you could go to her like your dog and talk to her. If your man is your dog, you can go to him like, you know, that's your people. You can go to him and be like, you know what, hey, you know, that's not what I wanted, babe. That's not what I needed. I didn't need you to do that, babe. I didn't. Everything doesn't have to be an argument.
Doing a little too much.
Just go to him and be like, no, babe, I know you was trying to help, but babe, I didn't need that. I just wanted you to hear me out. That's it.
Right. And that's something that I had to learn as a man, that I don't always have to put on the cape. I don't always have to do that. Sometimes it's like, yo, let me just lay my head on your shoulder or your chest, whatever it is, and talk. You know what I'm saying? And release it out, and just release. I don't always need you to fix it. And when I do need you to fix it, I'll let you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those are some of the things I had to learn about communication with women. You know, and just it's like you said, allowing the safe space to happen for them, right? Instead of just taking over their issue and just saying, I'm going to fix it. It's like, no, here's your safe space, and you can operate right here, and just let it out. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying like 5-10 times, but you know, you know, that once or twice. You know what I mean? Like,
just talk to her about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it's like you said, that type of communication and dialogue is necessary. That open line of communication is so necessary. And not everything has to be in an argument, but a lot of things do end up in an argument. Why? Because you had a bad day, right? There are certain things that bother you, you know what I'm saying, that you really wasn't supposed to bring home, but you're bringing them home. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are underlying other issues that may not have anything to do with your partner, but it's always easier to hurt the person that you're closest with.
Yeah.
It's always easy to take it out on them. It's always the easiest to take it out on them instead of calling your therapist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because truthfully, sometimes, like, when you're going through certain things, and like, therapy is a good place to do that release.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So we got miscommunications. What else?
And I think that's huh?
I said we got miscommunication. What else we got in the war?
We got we had comprehension, mental health.
Mental health, comprehension. Okay. Miscommunication, the mental health aspect, being able to comprehend each other. Okay.
And I think that's where we stay. I think because because there's a lot of other things that go on in gender wars, obviously, right? But we could be here till midnight talking about all of the things that plague different things between men and women and make us butt heads.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it is what society says that we should be,
Mm-hmm.
right? What society says a man should be, what society says a woman should be, and those are now the two sides. And then now we do this, right? But there's a lot of gray areas with that. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different gray areas. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when we're picking a partner, we also try to we try to force this person to be exactly what like we want them to be
Or
instead of
what we
going out
need.
and getting the person.
Right. I think what we need in analyzing the control that we try to have when it comes to
Mhm.
our mates,
Hmm.
I've come to the conclusion that a lot of times the things we're looking for in a partner are the things that are a void in us. So we're
Hmm.
looking for void fillers.
Hmm.
If you analyze yourself, like when you go through your list of, you know, I would say, attributes that you want in a mate. You know what I mean? A lot of times the things that you want are things that you lack. A lot of people, not everyone. A lot of people don't match the things that they're looking for in a mate.
Hmm.
They don't. Some people do, but a lot of people don't. They'll be like, I
Hmm.
want a man that do. Then you be like, well, what do you do? Do you do this?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, do you do that? Do you
Hmm.
bring that? Look, this imaginary table everybody always that everyone's talking about. What I bring to the table, what he gotta bring this
Hmm.
to the table, he gotta bring that to the table. Then it's like, well, do you provide those things as well? You know what I'm saying? Is
Hmm.
this something that you're looking to have because you don't have it, or is this something that you can match?
Right. But then it's like, well, this is what a man's supposed to do. Well, then this is what a woman's supposed to do. Like, I always feel like when you're trying to find, like, when you're truthfully really trying to find your mate, like, or not even trying to find, or like if you're looking or whatever the case is,
Dating.
it's like, I feel like there's somebody for everybody, right? So there's a group of women that feel like a man should solely support and financial for everything, right? Okay, cool. There's a space for that. Then there are women who say no, 50-50. I got it, he got it, and there's a space for that. Now the problem is when you have the women from this side and the women on this side, they're fighting about like their own preferences, right? About because they feel like that's how this should be. They feel like this, and it's just like, why are we fighting? Like, why y'all fighting about your own preference? If you want a man to fully support you financially, if you're in that situation, then go get you a man that can do that.
Stop trying to convert other men.
Why are you trying to convert the women over here
Mhm.
to do what they're comfortable with? Because maybe they won't be comfortable in that type of a relationship.
Mhm.
And you in that type of a relationship, why are we fighting about our own preferences? It doesn't make sense to me.
Because everyone thinks and believes they're right, and a lot of them are based on societal norms that no
Society.
longer exist.
Nope.
Traditions that no longer exist.
Mm.
Back in my grandparents' day, a lot
Yeah.
of the grandfathers, they ran the home. They took care of the home. The grandmothers stayed at home, took care of the children, and kept the house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2021. We got
Mm-hmm.
women that want to be more independent and bosses than ever. That dynamic has changed, but yet when it comes to what they consider their traditional values in a relationship, they're still relying on the values that took place decades ago. And it
Right.
doesn't necessarily fit the narrative of today.
Mm-hmm.
Because if no one's at home with the kids, if he's providing, you're providing, no one's at home with the kids, there's no balance. There's no balance if two people won't work together as a team.
Mm.
And there is no unity in a tribe if you got two chiefs and nobody's willing to be the Indian.
Facts. Facts.
So
Facts. Facts.
so
Facts.
I think people need to stop trying to mimic what they were told used to work or should work, and find out what works for your relationship and your family.
Yeah.
You
Right. And
might
find
find
out
that
what works for you.
right.
Right.
You
And
might,
find out what, yes.
you get what I'm saying? Your
I get it.
man may not make a lot of money. He might only make $30,000 a year, and but your bills might be $20,000 a year worth of bills. If you might actually have it to make more money than he does. So I guess you're supposed to keep all your money, put all the strain on him to because he's supposed to play this traditional role that he has his mindset on. And you have your mindset that he's supposed to be the man. So because he's supposed to be the man, he's supposed to handle all the finances. You're not supposed to do anything. But when he's struggling, he don't want to come to you because he feels like he's supposed to handle that. Y'all not working together as a team. You gotta be ideally and realistically in the time of today and in your own best interest for your own household and family. Forget what society says. You gotta do what's best for y'all at the end of the day.
Right.
And it may be role reversal or something. It might be something non-traditional. You might have to create your own traditions. Right.
And it's right. And also if you're dating, right, it's the same scenario. If you feel like what you is like you can't compromise and like what you want out of a husband or a mate is that he provides solely financially. Right? So if you feel that way, that's fine. But stop dating people that are the opposite of that and trying to make them be what they are not. Right? True. And if you love the 50-50 thing, right? Now you got a guy who's like, I'm taking over everything. I'm holding it down. And you are now uncomfortable because that's not the space and that's not the space where you want to be. Yeah. But now you want him to conform. And it's like, no, find somebody that is going to work for you and stop compromising on the things that you know you need, especially that you want. Like, and I think that's the thing. But like I said earlier, you want what you want.
You want what you want.
So if you want that man, now you enter that situation knowing, like, man, you know what? You guys have two different visions. But I want him, or I want her, or I want this and I want that. And it's just like, but that's not what you need.
Right. Certain things is compromisable, in my opinion. Certain things is compromisable. Others is not. And you got to figure out what those things are and stop trying to date people. This is why the dating process is so important. And we miss so many steps because so many of us don't know how to date. We don't know how to date. We date based on what we think we want. Some of us don't even know what we want. Pin down what we want. And then we get with another person and we don't take into consideration what they want. And then we combine our lives because they look good. They feel good to us. And we don't think long term. We don't see long term. We don't ask the right questions. We don't interview like we're supposed to. We don't eliminate because we're afraid, to cut people off. We look at dating multiple people like cheating. Like it is.
Why? But why? Because everybody wants to feel like the one.
Yeah. And the
right. So that's why it looks like you're cheating. That's why it feels like you're cheating. It's like, but you're talking to this person. It's like, yeah. I am, right? It's because we're not in a committed thing, but then everybody wants to feel like they're that one to that other person, right? And they want that feeling. So now it's like, I do like him or her and their feelings involved. That's mine. I licked it. It's mine. Right?
Right. I like you. You cute. I like you. You got a good job or what have you. Yeah, we good. But you don't think about their emotional state. You don't think about their habits.
Major key.
Okay. They could have like 3 bad habits that are really going to influence your life if you marry them.
And your kids' life.
and your kids. And you don't think about none of that. Y'all only see, okay, he cute, he got a good job, and he like me, and I like him. That's high school. We should have been that carefree in high school. Well, all we had to
Mhm.
worry about was whether or not I liked them, and they check on the box. Do you like me? Yes or no. Do you want to be my girlfriend or boyfriend? Yes or no. This is not high school when you got
Yo, I don't know though. When I think about
girlfriend.
high school, I feel like we flipped it a little bit. I feel like we were a little bit more. We asked more questions in high school. Like we went hard. Yo, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I used to go hard. It's like, all right, so talking about the plans, future plans. You know, like I see us after the prom going somewhere. You know what I mean? We gonna be me and you in the college, like because you should be like, yo, and he's like, man, like get out of here with those questions in high school, man. And then now we adults, and it's just like. Man, the heck with all them questions too. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
I'm tired of being
it's
single. And
interesting.
too many people tired of being single. They tired of being single. So
Mm-hmm.
if it look good and it seem good, then it's good. And then later they realize they don't even know the person. They don't even like the person because they never took the time to really know them, so they don't like them. They got an attitude problem. They got anger management issues. You got all this other stuff that you could have seen if you would take the time and actually date them and withheld the sex just a little bit, just a little long, just long enough so that you can know if you like the person, if you
I
really
mean,
like.
that's a story for. That's for another time.
Oh
Uh,
man, we got so many different topics that we
no,
got
no,
to
no.
put
Uh,
bookmarks
so,
on.
all
Okay, let's
right,
bookmark,
so, all
bookmark.
right, we'll hold the sex for a little bit. All right,
Man,
cool. I mean, I think I do think that that's true. And here's another thing, because I didn't want to lose this thought.
okay.
When you allow people their safe space, right? They'll open up to you in ways that you need them to open up so you can know and see possibly
Yeah.
even more red flags,
Mhm.
right?
Or
Just
green
by
ones.
creating,
Or green ones.
right. But what I'm saying is to avoid, like, because if you don't give people that safe space, they're always going to be closed off.
Yep.
And then
Mask
you're never
on.
going to know.
Mask
Yeah,
on.
it's always going to be like that. Like,
Mhm.
just as a community, we really have got to give our people a lot more safe spaces. You know what I'm saying? Because we need it.
Mhm.
As men, I can tell you, we need those safe spaces. You know what I mean? Men, suicide rate is crazy. You know that.
Yep.
Why? We don't have safe spaces.
No.
We're not comfortable. You know what I'm
No.
saying? With expression, with
No.
communicating, with elevating. You know what I
No.
mean?
And you don't feel heard when you do express. When you do talk,
Right,
you don't feel like
right,
anyone is listening or that anyone cares. Why?
right.
Because 9 times out of 10, you're broken. You're in a state of brokenness at that point. Because 9 times out of 10, most men don't talk when the issue is going on. You hold it
Right.
in and
Hmm.
you compress it. And by the time you do finally bring it up, it's bubbled over within you. And
Yeah.
then either you're not communicating properly because now you're either communicating out of a emotional space where you're angry, or you're talking to someone. And let's just be honest, if you're trying to be vulnerable with a woman that you broke, she not listening to you. She not listening. I'm a woman, and I'm telling you, if you hurt her and you broke her spirit,
Mm,
and now you're trying to come to her and be vulnerable with her, she doesn't have the capacity to listen.
mm. And speaking of capacity, we've really got to start getting involved with people that match our capacity in relationships.
Whew.
Because a lot of us, we got a capacity for like 1,000%, and we dating people that only have capacity for like 10%. That,
Woo.
and now you're always now pouring your 1,000 into their 10%, and they
Mm.
taking their 10% and they holding it. And now you
Woo.
out here, and now you out here
Depleted.
frustrated, depleted, frustrated, and wondering who's going to fill your cup.
Right.
Capacity is key for a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? And then even if you are that person who you don't have the capacity, that's okay. But just know when to gracefully bow out,
Mhm.
right? And that's male or female. But a lot of us feel like we always got it. Like, oh no, like, eventually, you know, I'll get there. But it's like, no, like you gotta know, like, I don't have it to give this relationship. I don't have
Right.
it.
Right.
Like, I don't. And you've got to know, like, you know what? I
And
need to
it's
take time out for me.
so much more respect that would be earned if a lot of people were more honest with themselves first. Because you got to be
Mm,
real with you to know that that's not what you have within you to give. Then
mm.
you can be real with your mate and say, you know what, I'm sorry, blah 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 blah. I'm not able to meet you in this way, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's about honesty. You got to be real
But
with
doing the
yourself
work,
first
but
and where
doing the
you
work
are.
on yourself.
Hmm.
Like, because therapy, like when you start doing the work really for yourself, a lot of times going to that therapist, they're gonna hit you in the mouth with something.
Mm.
It's gonna be a reflection of you
And it's gonna
that you
hurt.
may not like. Yeah, that you may not like. And it's like sometimes you gotta get sick of your own stuff.
Woo!
Like you gotta
That's
get
a game
like
changer.
you gotta get sick of you.
That's a game changer.
Because if you
If
get
you ain't
sick of
reached that
you,
part yet, you ain't there yet.
because if you get sick of you, then now
Mm.
you can see why the other person is definitely sick of you. You know what
Woo!
I'm saying? Like once you get to that point and it's just like, oh, yo, if I'm looking at myself and I can't even stand the person that I am, can you imagine what they feel about me and what I've been putting them through, right? But that's raw honesty with yourself. But everybody feels like they own one. Everybody feels like they're the one. Everybody feels like they're just the best.
They the
But
best. That's
we're
ego.
good at
Pride.
but
Ego.
we're good at that. Like we got the best everything. We got the best sex. We got the best personality. We got the best everything in the world. We know we got, and it comes from, oh well, I have a good job. I drive. Like I'm cool. I pay my bills. I'm
Right.
set. And it's
Right.
like, yo,
All superficial things
there's
that are
there's
outside of who you are, that does
right,
not make up who you actually are.
right. And it's like, well, who wouldn't want me? I like, look at me. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But it's like, but have you done you, have you done the work for yourself? Because you're doing everything but the work on you. You have the accolades. You may have a master's or bachelor's
Right.
or the car or
Right.
whatever it is you got, right? You pay your own bills. God bless you. That's what you're supposed to do,
Right.
right?
Kudos. But
But it's like, yo, at the end of the day, when you start doing that work on yourself and you start looking at yourself in that mirror and that therapist tell you something that's going to slap you in the face,
mm,
all the money, the cars, the good sex you think you've given,
yeah,
all that, it's not
don't
gonna matter because it
yeah,
ain't real. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's gonna hit you deeper, and it's gonna
yeah.
be like, yo, I didn't even know I had all of these issues.
Mhm.
I didn't even know I had so much stuff to unpack. And here I am carrying 10 bags with me onto this new relationship, and I boarded this relationship. I took the 10 bags and I boarded the relationship. And you know what it does? It weighs the plane down. That's why baggage is so expensive at airports.
You're so silly.
I want to pay for baggage. I don't want to pay for your stuff. I don't.
I know that's
Come,
right.
carry light.
Right.
Come light.
Pack light.
Because everybody got
Pack.
something.
Erica Badu.
I'm cool
What
with
she
that.
say? Pack light.
Yo, because everybody got something. But I don't need all of it, though.
No.
I
And
don't need
it's
stuff
not
from
fair.
95.
It's not
I don't need stuff
fair.
from
It's
1995. Like,
not
no, come on now.
fair. It's not fair. That's why I hate sometimes being on social media, because you get all sorts of people on social media at times. And sometimes what I learned is a lot of times the broken people stand together. Like they'll share memes together and there'd be like 1,000 different comments agreeing with broken stuff. And you'd be like, that's not right. No, that's not how it should be. Like, don't tell people that it is okay if they're broken, because broken crayons still color and somebody is going to come along and help heal them. That's not fair. That's so selfish. It's so
Mm-hmm.
selfish. It's so
Mm-hmm.
very selfish for you to
Mm-hmm.
think that it is a responsibility of someone else to help get you through the things that happened prior to them. It is so different if you're in a
That
relationship.
that specific one that you said about the crayons, it
Uh-huh.
applies, but not in relationships. It applies to you as a person.
Hmm.
So it applies to you where even in your brokenness, you can still do great things
Yes.
as an individual. But
Correct.
it doesn't mean that you should take that and now inflict this on a relationship. Now that's two
Right.
different things. Like don't ever let your brokenness define who you are. That's a fact. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? and that's true. But that also don't mean because there's a season in the period where you should be by yourself.
Oh boy,
Right?
That's a whole
There's
nother
a
stuff.
season in the period. So it's like, yes, if you're broken, ain't nothing wrong with that. Because we all color. Because we all can color if we're broken crayon. That's a fact.
Correct.
Don't let that.
But don't
ever
color
let that
someone else.
deter you. Exactly. And that's pretty much exactly what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be clear. But listen, we've already run over. We about an hour and 15 in. I know we can go for longer. But I think we should put a pin in it. Because we have a lot more to talk about. We'll probably do this again. You know how we do. You know how we do. We're gonna do it again.
I am more than happy to come back anytime.
Absolutely. Listen, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you dropping some gems as you always do. And thank you for the work that you do. You know what I'm saying? The work that you do is needed, especially for our community. And the work that you do with men, I salute you with that. You know what I'm saying? Because look, in this day and age, for us men, we really need it. You know what I'm saying? And we really do appreciate the work that you do. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm always giving you flowers if you talk to me. I give you flowers offline, online, public, private.
Yes.
I'll tell you that you dope. You know what I'm saying? So if I can tell you in private, I can tell you in public. Definitely, we definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you, and we're gonna do this again. Bria, she love, yo, thank you, appreciate it. So informative, love the talk.
Baby.
Thank you.
That's my daughter.
Oh, hey, daughter, what it is? Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, and thank everybody for tuning in. Until next time, until next week. I got some heat coming next week. You ain't even gonna want to miss that. Yeah, I got some heat next week. You know what I mean? But we'll talk. You know what I mean? But thank you again, Queen. I appreciate you.
Peace and light. Thank you, King.
All right, peace.